the American Institute for Cancer Research, there is very strong evidence that certain foods can help protect us from cancer. Joining us today with more information is registered dietitian Beth Roth, who works with cancer patients at the Gathering Place in Beechwood. Welcome to the program, Beth.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Our pleasure. So for viewers who may not be familiar with the Gathering Place, can you tell us a little bit about what the Gathering Place is and what they do there?
Sure. The Gathering Place, we're a nonprofit community-based cancer center. We're located, we have two locations, one in Beechwood and one in Westlake, and we provide psychosocial, emotional, physical, and spiritual support to anyone touched by cancer. As a nonprofit, all of our programs are free of charge.
Oh, that's wonderful. Mm-hmm. So I see all this food here. How do you personally help cancer patients? I think it might have to do something with cooking.
Great, sure. I do the nutrition and exercise programming at the Gathering Place. And if I could just mention too, this is just one of many programs that we have at the Gathering Place. We also have a wonderful medical library. We have cancer support groups. We have a wonderful children's program. So my involvement at the Gathering Place, I work on programs that deal with nutrition and exercise. So today I brought an assortment of foods for us to talk about. You may wonder why all the different foods here and why did I choose these. All of the foods listed here are foods that the American Institute of Cancer Research recommends as healthy plant-based eating. So most of every food I have here has some kind of link with helping to foods that help fight cancer. We have to be really clear that no food causes or prevents or treats cancer, but we are starting to do more and more research on certain foods and the effect they have on preventing cancer and the progression of cancer. So where would you like to start with foods?
We're going to make a cancer, I guess, a fighting salad, we might want to call it, with some powerful ingredients. So what would we put first in the salad?
Well, this is, I love this salad because it's a cruciferous salad. So a lot of people, when they hear that word, they're like, well, what does that mean? And cruciferous actually comes from the Latin word crucifer, which is cross. So when you think of cruciferous vegetables, cabbage, cauliflower, broccoli, they always have 4 petals, and usually they have a head on it as well. So we tell people we need to eat lots of foods like this, and how can we integrate it, but actually deep inside they're starting to pull out certain nutrients inside, certain phytochemicals as they call them, and look at the effect that they have on fighting cancer. So for the folks that I work with, it's just how can I eat these in a healthy way that actually tastes good. And so this is a fast and easy recipe that I'm going to combine cauliflower, which is a cruciferous vegetable too, high in fiber. We know fiber helps, a diet high in fiber helps fight colorectal cancer or prevent. Broccoli, which is another cruciferous vegetable. Then I also put some cabbage in here. So this is, I'm thinking, like with Memorial Day weekend coming up or the holidays, people think of coleslaw, right? And this is really kind of a healthy way. Look at all the bright color in there. So those are all different cruciferous vegetables. We have the cauliflower, broccoli, and red cabbage, packed with antioxidants, high fiber. I'm going to add a little carrot in here, and that's going to give us a little beta carotene, also adding fiber and a lot more color. So how do we pull this all together? Oh, I'm also going to add a few walnuts.
Okay, let's add those in here. The whole amount?
It's really, I tend to be generous on the walnuts. It's a great source of a type of omega-3. Also good for heart health. And then we're going to add a little fresh parsley.
Okay,
parsley is great for digestion. And let's see.
This smells wonderful. I wish our viewers could smell this because it smells amazing.
And then I just mix with this to pull it all together. It's just a little bit of olive oil.
Show the audience here a little bit. So
yeah, olive oil, some Dijon mustard, low-fat mayo, or you could use a mayo substitute, and a little bit of cider vinegar.
So we just pour it on?
Pour that in.
Okay.
We'll stir it together.
All right.
Oh, and we're going to also add a little bit of red onion.
A little bit of red onion. Do you add this to taste, or?
To taste, exactly. It's pretty strong, and some people, usually if I start light and then people add in, of course, as you let it sit.
Set that down for a second. So what, the red onion, how is that cancer protecting? What is that protecting
Well,
us
the
from?
onion is in the allium family. So onion, garlic, leeks, scallions, they're all, garlic happens to have a little more cancer fighting benefit, but onion has it's in the allium family. So that's that strong smell that, you know, usually, or like in broccoli, the cruciferous vegetables, that strong pungent smell. I always tell folks those are the cancer fighting benefits. So it's figuring out a good mix for the palate. And the onion, so it's the allium, it's good fiber. Now, one of the things that's not in this salad that you could add, if you said you wanted to boost up your protein a little bit, a couple ways you can do that. Flaxseed has a little bit of protein in it. It's a great fiber source, but it also has some omega-3, a type of omega-3 that our body converts so that it can use. It has some really good immune fighting benefits. If we grind that up, okay, and we can add that to the salad, that's going to boost the antioxidant, a little bit of protein. The salad doesn't have a lot of protein in it, and that would be one thing. You can have it like this, kind of as a substitute for a traditional coleslaw.
Okay.
Or if you had some beans, the dried beans, lentils, or I even use canned beans. A lot of times for people just trying to eat a little healthier, it's hard to think about soaking beans,
right,
and the whole process. So we make some, they make some really good canned beans now that I just get them when they're on sale, rinse them. It's a quick way to add good protein. Beans, lentils, what's nice about that is it's a nice meat substitute.
And you're rinsing them to remove the sodium?
Right. Rinse them, remove the sodium. Certain beans, the darker beans, have a coating on them that is a little toxic too. So you cut the sodium way down, and it actually perks the beans up. If you rinse them, you can put a little fresh lemon on it and even a smidge of sea salt, and it perks them up, very similar to a dried bean.
Now, what about soybeans? I had heard that some cancer patients need to limit that. Is that true, or is that...
That's a great question. It's such a controversial subject, and we used to tell women if you have cancer, you should avoid soy. Soy is in the legume family, and it is a good protein source. What it also has in it is something called isoflavones, which is a phytoestrogen, which just means plant estrogen. So it's real, you know, for women that have breast cancer, sometimes they feel, especially if they have a tumor that's hormone sensitive, that they want to avoid plant estrogens. Actually, the most current research is showing that they actually might be protective. So we're starting to look at mildly modified soy products, and what that means is not all soy is good for us. We should avoid the soy supplements in the powdered form, but certainly tempeh or tofu, soy milk,
and just
edamame,
the soybeans.
And the soybeans, the edamame, exactly. One of the things I do encourage folks, if they can, is to go organic with soy because of some of the processing. Soy is our #2 crop, and so when we know it's organic, it hasn't been genetically modified. So for a lot of folks, I say try to stick with the organic when you can, but it's a really good protein source.
You know, I have found, at least in my household, the organic, you know, whether it's better for you or not, just tastes better. Mm-hmm. So if I buy, you know, a bunch of apples for my husband, you know, they get eaten more if they're organic because the flavor just is so much stronger.
It is. And actually, we know it holds more of the nutrients as well in some of the organic produce. There's a great list if you, it's called the Dirty Dozen. I don't know if you're familiar with it, but those produce that hold the highest amount of residue. For some people, cost is an issue, and so we do talk about that. Not everyone feels like, you know, the cost of organic. So weighing out, you know, I always feel like if you can buy local, even if it's not an organic farmer, you know, if it's coming local, it's going to be healthy and good for us, and it's supporting the local farm. But looking at that Dirty Dozen, you mentioned apples. That's one of the high residue, and that's one they really do recommend to try or to get organic whenever possible for health benefits.
And you know, when you had referred me to the American Institute for Cancer Research website, and I was looking at it, and they were recommending people to eat apples as a cancer fighter.
Right, exactly.
I was surprised to see that on
there. Yes. There's a whole list. If you go to the site, the American Institute for Cancer Research, what it is, it's a nonprofit organization that looks at the relationship of body weight, physical activity and nutrition on cancer prevention and cancer survivorship. So they are sort of the go-to organization that we look at when we're looking at foods that help fight cancer. They're also really clear about saying it's no one food or food component, will cause or treat, as a treatment for cancer. But they do have a nice extensive list as well as free recipes and tips on how to incorporate these fresh fruits and plant-based foods into your everyday eating.
Oh, that's absolutely wonderful. How could our viewers reach you if they would like more information on the Gathering Place?
Well, if they would go to www.touchedbycancer.org, and if I could just say one more thing with our organization, we have Race for the Place coming up. It's the first Sunday in June, and it is National Cancer Survivor Day, and that is our annual, one of our big annual fundraisers for the Gathering Place. Because all of our services are free of charge, and we have we rely really solely on private donations and grants. This is a huge fundraiser for us. It helps support all of our programming. So if you go to our website at touchedbycancer.org, you can click on, you can support a race, support the race, join the race. It's a 5K walk or a 1 mile walk, and it's in Beechwood, and touchedbycancer.org.